I got to get out here. My guys already out here working. I've been here for a week and a half. I've been here for a week and a half and have done more than people that have been here in freaking years.
Would my life been different? Would I made it to the NFL if Ed Reed was my coach? So a few months ago, when Deion Sanders announced that he was leaving Jackson State to go to Colorado, a lot of people were in uproar. And I personally thought it was good for him. Why not? Why not elevate, move up? A lot of people were mad in the HBCU community, mostly because they saw it as he did so much good stuff for Jackson State, and they wanted him to keep doing that and extend his legacy. And while that's all great, and I understand their sentiment, is he really indebted to that? Now, with that same vein, he started something that may become a trend. And when Ed Reed announced he was going to coach at Bethune Cookman University, I said I definitely have to talk about this, because while the other video I made hit home because I am an HBCU former athlete and a graduate, Bethune Cookman is my alma mater. So I know firsthand what this process is like. And I think to myself, when I saw this, would my life been different? Would I made it to the NFL if Ed Reed was my coach? Now, bear with me, because I was recruited for football primarily, but I ended up going to Bethune Cookman on track and academic scholarship. Now, that's a whole story within itself, how I got kind of screwed over in that situation. But when I was getting recruited for football, being from South Florida, where I'm from, majority of current NFL players, they have the most in the NFL between Broward County, Miami, and Palm Beach. We have the most. Now, you can see that's kind of caliber athlete I was and who I played against. Some of my teammates made it to NFL, such as Denard Robinson, a.k.a. Shoelace, as well as Jason Pierre-Paul. Now, with that being said, when I was getting recruited for football, I had more notable schools showing interest. Now, one being like South Carolina, some smaller schools in the Sun Belt Conference. So I knew that I was going to go to that type of school. But unfortunately, it didn't pan out like I thought it would, and I didn't. But I remember Bethune Cookman's recruiter coach came in, and he talked to me and a teammate together. We both were safeties. And he sold us on the pitch. We listened to him. Yes, sir. All that good stuff. We were very respectful, but we weren't hearing him. Afterwards, we kind of laughed like, yeah, we're not going there. But it wasn't no disrespect to Bethune Cookman, but just the fact that it didn't have the program notability and it didn't have the coach notability. They had a coach, Alvin Wyatt, and no disrespect to him. He was there for many seasons. He produced some NFL players such as Nick Collins, who played safety for the Packers, and also Rasheem Mathis, who was a cornerback for the Jaguars. Now, you can see both DBs, a position I played. So by that knowledge, maybe I could have made it through that, but I wasn't really interested. My eyes were set on a bigger school. Now, a lot of people don't understand what the coaching staff can really do for a team. It's not just winning the games, the X and the O's. It's the actual pitch, the promotion. We want to go where people want to go. And no one really wanted to go Bethune Cookman that bad. Yeah, they had some standout players over the years, but it wasn't a powerhouse even in its division. Now, with that being said, Coach Reed would have brought that. If I had Coach Reed sit in front of me, or a coaching staff member that he sent, my eyes would have been open, because he played safety. Now, going to him and Deion, he learned from Deion, because towards the beginning of his career, Deion was there on the Ravens for a brief stint before he retired eventually. So they share a tie. And we talk about like personality types and how to mentor kids. A lot goes into that. You can see how Deion Sanders did a great job with Jackson State, not only getting them wins on the field, that's great, but he got wins off the field. He got wins for that program in the monetary status. Sales were through the roof. He changed the paradigm of not just at college, but HBCUs. And we thought that was going to happen with Coach Ed Reed. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to play this clip, which kind of shifted that, so it didn't really pan out how we thought it would. But let's take a look.
Been mutting and showing shit. I chose not to, but now I'm out here walking with the football team, picking up trash. But I'm mutting us. Man, get out of here, man. I should leave. I'm not even under contract doing this. I'm mutting us? Man, get out of here, man. They mutt me. These motherfuckers ain't even clean my goddamn office when I got here. I'm mutting y'all? Get your ass, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. All this shit here was trash in front of me. Who you think got this shit cleared out? That building right there got trash in it. It's fucking trash. What are you talking about? I need no goddamn donors to come out and help out, because people just want money. That's why I don't fuck with social network. Fuck out of here, man.
So this is the video the shot heard around the world. Pretty brash delivery, some curse words. It was pretty raw, and a lot of people didn't like it. Now, a lot of people I follow or follow me that's on social media that I went to school with, or they were just alumni that just happened to be on my page. It was interesting. We're split pretty down the middle. Some people said he was wrong for that. Don't expose our school, our secrets. And the other half was like, hey, it had to be said because we all experienced it, especially if you were an athlete and especially on the football team. Now, I wasn't on the football team. Going to the point, I ended up going there for track. Now, it's crazy how I still ended up there. And that's just ironic and how my story just speaks to other people who could have went through the same thing where I missed opportunities. I could have played football. I was a standout athlete in my county. Like I said, one of the most competitive counties in the country. And I didn't go for football. I turned it down. And when it didn't pan out with the bigger schools, all the offers or the interest, it disappeared. Bethune had its biggest recruiting class that year up to that point. It was 2007, class of 2007 recruiting class. So there was no room for me. So they said I could be a preferred walk-on. So I ran track and I was like, you know what, I'll just walk on and all good. But my track coach didn't want me doing both because if they're paying me to run or I'm getting money for them, but yet they are going to possibly, put me in, I could get hurt. It didn't make sense to them. And I just said, forget it. And that's where my football career ended. So, hey, it didn't work out, but I fortunately got to the point where I'm at working with NFL players, top UFC fighters, military, law enforcement, corporations, list goes on. And the mental performance and at Bethune Cookman is where I would start my journey in psychology over 14 years ago. So the point is, it all worked out for me, but it doesn't always work out for everyone. It goes back to personality, leadership, and something called athletic identity. I had very high athletic identity. And for that very reason, I didn't choose Bethune Cookman, let alone entertaining it as a school, because I thought as an athlete, I got to go where they win, go where the limelight is, where people can see me and I can go to the NFL. And a lot of young men, especially young Black men, since we're talking about HBCUs, think just like this. And I'm sure it's pretty much the same now, if not probably worse, because we didn't have Huddle. We didn't have Twitter. We didn't have YouTube. While YouTube just came out around that time in the early 2000s, it wasn't really used in the manner it was. I actually had a highlight tape that I made myself. So going back to Coach Reed, granted, his words may not be the best, but like I said, I've been in situations with business where I said things that might not have been in the best manner or displayed in the best light, but it had to be said. And we need people like that. I'm not mad at him at all because I know exactly what he's talking about. I lived there. I was on campus for 3 years out of my stay there. So I know what those dorms are like. I know what those fields are like. He talked about the track in more of the video, and that track on that field wasn't even there. So think about it. When I ran track there, we had to go to Mainland High School, which is Vince Carter's alma mater. And that was about 3 or so miles away from the school. And we had to run there. So that basically like our warm up just to go run some more. So think about that. I had to run to go run. Now, if you had a car on the team, we tried to hitchhike with them, but it was enough capacity for all the teammates to get rides. So most of us walked or ran to practice, and it was like imperative that we were ready to go by the time we got there. So timeliness. So you can see that's just one aspect. Facilities, right? Our weight room wasn't up to par. The weight room wasn't adequate. Our strength conditioning coaches, and I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus, but now that I have a background in this stuff, I can see that it wasn't up to par. I even had advisors that put me in the wrong classes that end up failing, and that's on me for failing, but I didn't know better. So ignorance mixed with wrong guidance is not a good combination. So with all this being said, Ed Reed seemed genuine. I don't know exactly how that would have played out if he stayed, but I think he seemed genuine. But the whole argument of him airing out dirty laundry, I think that doesn't matter because the end goal should be making the school better. How do you heal in medicine if a doctor can't tell you that you're sick? Wouldn't you want to know what exactly is wrong with you? Now, obviously, you don't say it to the world, but in this case, this goes beyond just professionalism because people talk about being professional. I get that. But when you're at his status, that kind of goes out the window. I'll use an analogy or example like, say, 50 Cent. The man is a multi-millionaire. I think it's in 100 millions, right? He has had a lucrative rap career. Other businesses like Vitamin Water he invested in early, sold that for literally billions and got a big cut out of that and so forth. He's very raw and brash, and you can argue that it's not the best. It really isn't when you think of professionalism. But when you're at the status of a celebrity, and not just celebrity, a Hall of Fame football player that can bring that status to your school, you can talk about it and fix it versus just saying throwing the baby out with the bathwater. But guess what? Now there's going to be an Ed Reed at the school, and I'm going to play that video because they talked about, or he went into talking about how they tried to say he left and took his name out, but they pushed him out. And I saw the article on that, and it's like, why would they even say that? And that doesn't look good because you think about it. Why lie and say he took his name out of the candidacy versus it just didn't work out? We didn't think he was the best option. stand behind your decision, right? I'm all for, doing what's best, what you think is best, but at least stand on your words, right? So let's take a look at that.
After playing and what we started doing, young man. Motherfuckers. Yeah, I curse. And y'all done heard curse words before. And they got parents in here. And no, I don't want to leave. And like I told you, I want all these recruits. But they got some corrupt people in this world, some evil people that don't care about kids like I do. So I want y'all to hear the truth from me. I ain't withdrawing my name. I got the receipts. They got all kinds of stuff going on around here. Hoarding these buildings with nothing but trash in them. You understand me? And Dion was right. And I know I'm right. And they got some people in here who be snitching to their ass. And I work amongst Judas as Jesus walked with him. And I ain't have a problem with it.
So there you see, he was letting out more emotion. And that's where a lot of people have a problem. He's being emotional. I'm not going to argue if it's right or wrong because we're humans. It's human nature. When you make a business deal, there's going to be emotion tied to it. It's impossible not to have any. Now, does he seem passionate? He said it's about the kids. I agree with them. Sometimes it's bigger than us adults. These kids, even though they're in the upper teens, early 20s, they still have a life ahead of them. And coming from an HBCU, you want to give them the best chances. Forget football. Yes, that's the medium he's using. Having a Hall of Famer will bring a lot of attention and a lot of revenue, a lot of chances for them to maybe get looks from the NFL. That's great. But only about 1% of football players are going to the NFL. That's all across the country, let alone just Bethune-Cookman University. So let's get them ready for something bigger than sport. And he definitely has the ties. And I know his mindset would have been able to guide them because he's been working with UM. So it's not like he's raw in this. He understands what it takes to facilitate a successful college career on the field, but also helping mentor children and kids to become the men to take over and dominate in the world. Now, with him gone, who knows who will come in to take the place? A lot of people are saying get an in-house person who's already there or getting another alumnus, because a lot of people have a problem with Dion and Ed Reed because neither of them went to an HBCU. Ed Reed went to UM and Deion Sanders went to FSU, both big schools, both rivals, and they both excelled at their respective positions. But the thing is, I don't think it matters. Like, all because you didn't go to an HBCU doesn't mean you can't help one. Now, people argue, should they even have an opinion? Like, I see comments, people feuding, you didn't go to HBCU, so you can't have an opinion. Why not? They might send their kids to an HBCU. They might want to work for an HBCU. So there's always options. And you can't, like I say, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. This conversation has to be had. And the less we talk about it, things won't really change. And we keep going to the point of he shouldn't have said it like that. Accountability is a big thing. People are more concerned of how things are said versus what the outcome should be. If it comes off painful, that's fine. This is a problem with the world in general. It's not just a black thing, it's a school thing. But a lot of the people have been sympathizing with, oh, what about other institutions? And that's irrelevant. I don't care if Harvard has these problems. I don't care if Alabama, UM, FSU, whatever, because they do. And they do get called out. So this whataboutism is stupid because they get called out, but the difference is they handle it, whether it goes smoothly or not. And guess what? They move forward. They continue being great. Now, granted, they have more money. I'm not going to glance over that. It takes money to facilitate this. And I'm looking at the point of like a business. A school needs funds to make things happen. But if you cut off the chance to make millions of dollars in revenue as well as donations, who are you really helping? Granted, there's higher ups that make these final decisions and it has to be in their best interest. Cool. But what about the school's best interest? I've been there where I had no place to go or I got kicked off the team and had to fight my way back on and deal with a lot of nonsense because there wasn't people who were 100% there for me. I'm not saying I didn't have people supporting me at Bethune Cookman. I definitely did. And that's why I made it. So shouts out to them. But having someone who truly is there for you beyond the sport means so much because a lot of times these young black kids, once their athletic ability is no more useful, whether it's just exhausting their eligibility or getting hurt or getting out of school because of grades, they become useless and they're gone. And that's not just a black school thing. That's just any college program. So we got to look at these things. When it comes down to making it better for Bethune-Cookman, I personally think this is just my opinion. Like I said, I'm in the sport world. I've been there as an actual athlete. I graduated from there. And it was an uphill battle. I had to do a lot to get out of there on my own volition. Granted, like I said, I had help, but it was mostly me making it happen because I did my senior paper actually on alienation and school adjustment in young African-American boys at college. Think about that. Feeling alienated. Black men are predominantly the minority at HBCUs. There was about 20-to-1 ratio, men to women, especially in fields like psychology. By my senior year, I was almost the only male in my class. And it's funny that most of them were also athletes. A few other psych majors were football players. I was a track guy. But the thing I look at is we got to do something about this. And that's why I picked that topic. And what do you think is happening when you're deterring a handful of students who probably wouldn't have been in school if it wasn't for sports? It's not saying they're not mentally capable or smart enough, but this was a stepping stone for them to at least get them that free education. This gives them more incentive to go. And that's what it's all about. You have to bait them in. There's no getting around that. If you can't bait, it's like any industry. It's a business. If you can't entice the people with the marketing to sell, they're not going to buy. And if you can't get the athletes who want to come, they're not going to come. Now, he already had made initiatives. You even had people looking to protest it. And I have a clip there, and I haven't looked at it yet, so this will be a raw response. But people want to protest it to bring them back. So let's check that out.
Campus of Bethune Cookman University in Daytona Beach today. Those students are upset that the university ended contract negotiations with prospective head football coach and former NFL great Ed Reed.
As West 2's Claire Metz reports, they think it's retaliation for comments that Reed recently made on social media the students believe are the truth.
Hundreds of Bethune Cookman University students sent a message to the administration, to the board, to anyone who would listen with a peaceful but vocal campus protest.
We voice concerns, we send emails all the time, no responses, so this is what it has come to.
It came to that after the university broke off negotiations with prospective head football coach Ed Reed. Reed had recently taken to social media, often using profanity to criticize physical conditions here at BCU.
So you see how it went to the profanity. Like I said, I get it. It was a raw delivery. Was it the best choice of words? No, but I'm not going to say it shouldn't be said because these are major issues. Not having proper housing, dirty fields, broken gates, that campus is not in the best area. So you don't want to have easier access for people to come in or other things that happen. So I get how emotional you can get.
Even claiming his office wasn't clean. Reed later apologized, but the university decided this weekend to reopen their search. While students are petitioning to bring Reed back, they say it's time they speak out too.
We have a voice.
BCU student Tyrone Franklin Jr. is a quarterback on the football team. Disappointed the university dropped Ed Reed.
I think him showing that what we're going through as a student body should be shown. Many people has been saying this for a long time.
Students shared pictures of what they say are some campus concerns, including broke.
So you see that? I've seen stuff like that before too. Not the best quality. Bethune Cookman is a very expensive school. I'm not bashing it. I love my school, but I'm once just like Ed. I'm going to call out what I experienced. When I was there, I think it was 19,000. And by the time I graduated, it was up to 22, 23,000. I think it's in the mid 30s now. Think about that. It's a private school. I get it. But in comparison to schools that are way cheaper, that are better quality, you got to look at these things. And you could argue it was more to life than football, more to school. But what brings in the big bucks? Sports. It's just like why people complain about the wage gap in the WNBA and in the NBA. It's about how much revenue are they generating. And this would have brought in that money. And you could fix things like this.
Doors, mold in dorm rooms, even growing on stuffed animals.
The first couple months I was here, I literally was sick because of the mold. My shower makes my skin break out because they don't really care about the health of their students.
Many here told us Ed Reed spoke the truth about issues at the university, and they showed up, even marched in the street to have it all reheard. At the end of the day, they say this is what they want university leaders to respond to.
So, yeah. The kids have spoken, and why not listen to them? They're the ones who have to attend the school. They have to pay that $30,000+ a year to go there. Shouldn't their voices be heard? I get the board has to make the decisions, but these are people who are paying their salaries or paying them to be able to do what they do. Are they going to be heard? So the back and forth, I get it. Like I said, could it have been said better? Sure. Why not? Like I said, I had my incident when I called out my industry in the mental performance world and some people who were doing some shady stuff. And I stood my ground. I got emotional with it. I let them know what was up. I lost some serious partnerships with that. That's life. But guess what? Some people stepped up, and I guarantee those people they're benefiting because I'm a go-getter, a hard worker. And just like with Ed Reed, could he make up for it? Definitely. He definitely would have, I say 100-fold, not just in revenue, but the experience, the culture. Imagine my school becoming a powerhouse. Mary McLeod Bethune, she had the saying, enter to learn, depart to serve. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm glad I went there and I was able to have a support group that let me be able to thrive and grow. Ed Reed probably could have been that too. Does it look like it's going to happen? Will the protest work? I'm not too sure. But the back and forth on social media with people saying this is wrong, this is right, he shouldn't have said it, he shouldn't have. None of that matters because at the end of the day, we saw what Deion Sanders did. People argue would it have been the same? Maybe not. He may not have the same power as Deion Sanders, but he definitely would have made a difference. His personality might have been a little more stronger. He might have been higher on disagreeableness for sure. But sometimes you got to be that person to be a leader. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and get your mind right.